Alright, we should be good to go now. Thanks for giving me a call. I appreciate it, and doing this interview.
Man, my word.
Let me just say, man, it's an honor to speak with you because, growing up, man, I was a big fan of you as part of the group 112, and I always admired your guys' music. So this is a real treat for me to speak with you.
Oh no, the pleasure's all mine, man.
Cool. If I could, yeah. If I could just start at the beginning of your career, I know you were discovered down in Atlanta by Puffy and all that, and then you were flown to New York to start recording. What do you remember the most about recording, your debut album, 112?
What I remember most about the debut album is the fact that we didn't know what the hell we was doing.
Yeah.
And we had to be guided, and we definitely take into consideration that, Puff was very instrumental in the development of, our first project because, like I said before, man, we didn't know what we was doing. It was 4 kids from Atlanta, Georgia, had not been out of Atlanta, our entire lives, and then all of a sudden, we do a 180 and move to New York. So it was kind of a culture shock. It was a brain fart. It was a clusterfuck, whatever you want to call it. But, it was all in development, to take us from being, kids to grown men.
Yep. Okay.
So I think that's the thing that, that was the most notable thing about that, man. The fact that, Puff was really, instrumental in taking us from being, these kids who had this mindset about how we were supposed to go. And dude just came in and just destroyed all that and created, this whole new sound, which was this hip-hop R&B thing that, a lot of people, just take for granted, and just say, okay, it's automatically, that's what the sound is. But in our opinion, in 112 opinion, we were instrumental in creating that sound. Because a lot of R&B artists weren't doing the singing over hip-hop beat. I think the only other person that was doing it was Mary J. Blige at the time.
Yep.
And you can see the correlation. You can see where where it all stems from Mary, 12. You know what I mean? So, it was definitely not a culture shock, but, very, very, gratuitous.
Yep. Cool. And if I could focus on you for a little bit, I know some may be unaware, but I know I'm someone who reads the liner notes, I read the credits, and I know you're involved a lot in the writing, and you've co-written a lot of the biggest hits for the group. Just tell me about where it is you developed that talent in writing.
Well, man, honestly, I honestly don't know where the writing came from, man. To be honest with you, I have a lot of things going on in my head, and I just put it to something. I don't think I have just a natural affinity for writing. It's what I do have is, when God blessed me with the ability to just, if I put my mind towards something, I know it sounds cliche, but if I put my mind towards something, I can do it. If I wanted to go do stand-up comedy, I feel like I can go do it.
Yeah.
If, wanted to be an actor, I can go out there and do that. We all have that ability, but for some reason, man, it just comes natural to me. So when it was time for me to write, it was just, like we need something, we need you to write this song. I'm like, all right, cool. We need you to be kind of, weird, and we need you to be, like Peaches and Craze, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We were just really, we were stuck on that song there for a while, and then we just said, look, let's go outside the box and just create something, that's totally funny, just totally, whatever comes to our head. And, I was like the initiator of, putting all that together as far as the melodies, because if you listen to Peaches and Craig, the melody is not familiar with any other thing that 112 did. It was totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just said, let's do it. Let's just see what happens or whatever. So that's what happened. So, a lot of creativity, man, has to do with me watching a lot of cartoons growing up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I was heavily into watching all kind of things that were just silly, man, and just funny shit, man. Just real funny stuff like Saturday Night Live and cartoons and, things of that nature. Everything that made me laugh pretty much, man. I just sat there and watched that all day. I think that attributed to a lot of my thinking process when it comes to writing.
Yep. Okay, cool. And I just want to get your opinion on something because I think in this digital age, especially where people just get MP3s and people are actually buying like physical CDs and reading the liner notes and the credits, Did you ever feel overshadowed a little bit? Because as someone who wasn't one of the main, lead singers in the group, but you did a lot of the writing behind the scenes, did you ever feel like maybe you weren't getting the credit you deserved at any point?
Well, you know what, man, I'm going to be honest with you. There were times when I felt like I wasn't being utilized as much as I possibly could, but I didn't really look at anybody or anything that and pointed at that and said, well, this guy's the reason why, anything like that. It was nothing like that, because I understood what the plan was, and still to this day understood what the plan was, which was the fact that, Small's voice was the most distinctive out of our voices. All of us to sing, if you heard his voice, you automatically associated with 112. So we understood what the whole sense of it was. But there were times, man, just being 100% honest, there were times where I felt like I wasn't being utilized to the best of my ability. And but it's all in the sacrifice. I can go out there and try to walk the boat, or I can just keep doing what I'm doing, and we walk out and be one of the most famous groups of the late 90s, early 2000s. So which one was it going to be, man? I chose the latter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do I regret it? I don't regret anything. I don't regret a move that I made as far as that goes, because I understood the plan and I just, sacrificed or whatever. And I learned a long time ago that credit is be given, not taken, So I just looked at it as being God's way of showing me that it's bigger than me. It's bigger than the individuals in the group. And if we want to be legendary, then this is what we have to do in order to do it.
Cool. Now, if I could, man, I went back through all the albums and looked through the liner notes, and I found some of my favorite songs that you had a hand in writing. If I could just mention a few, and you could just give me a little background on each, if that's cool.
Okay.
The first one I got is "Throw It All Away." That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
If you could just give me a little background on that song.
When we decided on doing, because Slim was in the zone at that point, we was towards the end of the album. Creation of the album, we had started getting the feel of what it took to be in the, in the studio and what Puffy wanted from us as far as songs were. And, it was evident that Slim at that point was in the zone. So it was just automatic for us to just make him, sing the entire song, because he was in such a zone at that point, man. So, when I write songs and when I write records for people, I look at their attributes and, especially knowing these guys as long as I know them, it's easy for me to say, okay, you know what, this is a song that Slim used to say by himself. Let him go, let him take it. He in the zone right now, let him kill it. And, as a result, like you said, it's one of my favorite songs as well. So, mission accomplished on that.
Yeah, very nice. Another one is from the Room 112 album. One of my favorite songs is "Crazy Over You." Tell me about that one.
Crazy Over You. It was, I was instrumental in that one, but I think that's more Devon than anything else. Devon just, he was in his own as well as far as being a producer. And on that tip, and I think Q and my son came in like towards the end where the bridge was, because if you listen to the verses, Crazy Over You, and listen to the bridge, you can tell that there's a difference as far as the melodies and the tones and things of that nature. That's because Q and myself came in and we wrote on that aspect of it. But, that just shows the correlation and the camaraderie that we all had and all possessed. We could still come in, even though the band had the bulk of the song down, we could come in and just put our part on it, man, and just made it sound even better. So, but yeah, definitely that was one of my favorite songs. Really, that's crazy, because that's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite songs to perform, actually.
Yeah, oh really?
Because I get to go off at the end, so.
Yeah, cool. I was gonna actually just ask you now. You have a favorite song you wrote? Which one is it and why?
My favorite song I wrote. One of my favorite songs that I wrote, I don't even think people realize that 112 did the song. It was a song that we did for the Light It Up soundtrack. That's that movie that Usher was in.
Yep.
And who else was in it? Old girl from the Roseanne Barr show.
Yep.
It was like one of those. Forrest Whitaker was in it. Yeah, for the soundtrack that we did a song called Anything For You.
Oh, yep. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and the funny thing about it is the way I wrote it, actually wrote it on the airplane on our way to a show. And how I wrote it, because I was playing around, I wrote it as a country song. Now, if you can imagine, like, I don't know, one of these country singers, Billy Cyrus or somebody like that, singing that song the way that, the song was written, it was written to be a country song.
Mm-hmm.
But when we went in to do the country, it sounded too country. Like, it didn't sound like 112. It sounded like we were going up to Nashville to record the song for, the CMT or something like that, man. It was like really a country sounding song. Like, and just being from Atlanta, we really made the country.
Yeah.
So it was just, it was too country. So, we had to pull back on that, make it more R&B. Put more of the R&B flavor to it, but, we had the little sound, the little guitar and, everything, but it just sounded too country.
Mm-hmm.
But, we actually did that song where, with the intent on making it sound like it's a country record, but, it didn't really pan out the way we wanted it to.
Yeah.
But it still came out to be a really good song.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that one too. Now if I could get your to comment on the sound of the group. I mean, in the beginning, like, I feel like there was a progression. In the beginning, you guys had a little bit of a more soulful tone, I felt, and then, like, as you mentioned, more of that hip hop soul. In the later albums, I felt it was a little more commercial. Could you just comment on how you feel about how the group progressed in terms of sound?
Okay. But as far as the first album goes, when we first came onto the scene, we was real raw. Like I said before, we didn't really know what we was doing. We had to be taught, how to do the hip hop / R&B thing. Because, in our mindset, the only thing that we were concerned about was the R&B. When we grew up and we listened to the music, our sound, a lot of people don't realize this, a lot of 112 sound stems from two groups, from Commission and Take Six.
Okay.
Like, it was the harmonies from Take Six and the vocal arrangement and also the vocal production that Commission, and also their writing style, how they put things together. So if you can combine it, we combined the two, and that's what the 112 sound.
Mm-hmm.
So, our whole thing was really, really into the harmonies at that point. We were really big on harmonies. We knew we could sing the lead. That wasn't the problem. We were more concerned about how the harmony sound versus, how the lead sound. So that was that first album. If you could go back and listen to that, then you could tell, like, we were heavy into the harmonies and wanted to make sure that all the harmonies and things of that nature was, the most prevalent in our minds.
Yep.
But as we progressed and as we, grew up more into the music industry, we realized that it was going to take a little bit more than just our harmonies, to be, a mainstay in the music industry. So we started by the second to the third album. That's when you start seeing the evolution of the lead vocal ability of the group. Of course, we've been out and experienced it the best teachers. We've been out on the roads performing. By that time, we had done maybe we went on tour with me at that point. We went on tour with the Obstacles at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think New Edition and Long Third Harmony.
Okay.
Yeah, so by that time, we got a little, our chest was poked out a little bit, man. We could walk around saying that, we would be real true to life singers at this point. You couldn't really tell us about the music game at that point. But you could definitely tell there was a progression as far as the lead vocal ability from the first to the second to the second to the third. We was more concerned about taking more leads on the second album and being more sexy with it.
Yeah.
And we would start growing up and being around the ladies and understanding what what they wanted from us and stuff. So the second album was a little bit more sexy than the first album was. The first album was more of a romantic kind of soul searching romantic kind of feel. When you can just put on for your girl at night and then y'all can have a saying a little great evening or whatever. But that second one was like okay, after we had that great evening, try to get into bed and get to it.
Yeah.
But and that was the progression from the first to the second, from the second to the third. By the third album, we wanted our independence. We wanted to be independent from the umbrella that was Puff. Mm-hmm. At that point, we realized that a lot of people looked at it as being Puff was the producer, and he was the dude that was orchestrating the entire 112 movement. And we wanted people to know at that point that, you know, yeah, he was instrumental in it, but at the same time, 112 was the reason why, you know, 112 was what we was at that point, you know, vocally and musically.
Mm-hmm.
So we set out on the goal to prove to everybody that 112 was the reason why we were so dope on that third album.
Yep.
So that's where, you know, if you go back and just listen to, like, after I've given you all this, once you go back and listen to the third album again, you can tell the rebelliousness that we had in our voices, the rebellious nature that we had in the music as well. It's like that was we was more aggressive on this third album.
Yep.
You know, the whole movement was more aggressive because, you know, we had started venturing out, and at this time, you gotta understand, by the first and second album, it was whatever Puff said do, we did.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, by the third album, we was like, fuck that. You know, we ain't doing it like that no more. We, you know, we're gonna listen. If it sounds good, we're gonna listen. But we need to let it be, you know, 112
mm-hmm.
at the same time. So that's when you get that feel on that third album.
Yeah. Okay.
In the fourth album, man, we just be real. We lost our way on that fourth album.
Yeah.
You know, we moved from going to Bad Boy to Def Jam. They gave us more money than we ever saw. You know, and we lost our way. And when we did an album, we wasn't really focused.
Oh, okay.
We felt like, oh man, we can do this shit, man. You know, we want 12, we can do this, we can do
Yeah.
that. Don't worry about that. And by the time we looked up, it was time to, you know, submit an album.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really give them, you know, everything that we could have given.
Yep.
Fourth album, and a lot of people's eyes, even though it went platinum, it was a disappointment.
Yep.
Because it didn't have the same effect that the third one was, because everybody was anticipating off of that third success that we were just gonna bring it, you know. But that didn't happen. That was, but it did teach us a lesson, man. And, you know, we progressed as well. You know, we knew then that, you know, we couldn't play no more. You know, we was only given one shot. You know what I mean? So we couldn't really go out there and play around anymore.
Yep.
So by the fifth album, we were just locked in. You know, it was kind of a redemption.
Yep.
Kind of like, okay, we've matured. We've, you know, we've been through, quote unquote, the fire, so to speak, and you know, it's time for us to show everybody that, you know, we are a mainstay in R&B, and we can rebound from, you know, a little disappointment, or, you know, we can rebound from, not necessarily a disaster, but we can rebound from things just like any other group that has the potential to be legendary.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that was pretty much the progression that, you know, that happened with these albums.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. You definitely gave me something to think about when I go back and listen again, because that gives a whole new perspective.
That first album was, you know, you gotta understand, like, you know, everybody always says that first album was a classic. Well, the reason why the first album was always a classic, if you didn't know, was because it took however long you started making that album, you know, to the point that you lived. Like, that's how long it took. So for us, it took us 17, 18 years to make that first album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, after all the other albums, you know, it was easy to make those other albums after that. But that first album, man, we gave it everything that we had, you know. So from, you know, people telling us we couldn't make it to y'all need to go to college instead, moving up to New York, somebody gonna kill you up there. You know what I mean? It's like all of that stuff. Everybody telling us that we weren't good enough. All of the evil energy, all of the positive energy that was, you know, given to us, that was thrown our way. We took that and molded it into the first album. So that's why the first one was such a quote-unquote classic, and that's why the first one had so much heartfelt energy, because we didn't know any better. All we knew was to give it our all. We didn't really, you know, by that, you know, we hadn't lived in that music industry bullshit yet. So for us to, you know, get out and do that first album, it came natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but it was more so romantic.
Yeah.
You know, it was a more romantic themed album. The second one was more of a sexy feel. The third one was more about our independence. Our fourth one was kind of like we lost our way a little bit, and the fifth one was kind of like on redemption, like us getting our name back. So.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And I've always wondered, you know, when, you know, from your time in Bad Boy and your time in Def Jam, you know, was there any, like, did they from a creative standpoint, did the labels ever kind of push you in a certain direction, the way you should, make an album, or how much creative control do you guys have, and did you notice the difference between the albums? Between the labels, I'm sorry.
Well, the difference between Bad Boy and Def Jam, Bad Boy pretty much in the beginning told us what we needed to be.
Yeah.
They pretty much molded us into who we needed to be. Def Jam allowed us to be who they thought we already were.
Yeah.
Def Jam was like, look, we're going to give you all the back money, go make a music. It was more of it was a bigger machine than being a Bad Boy, which was considered a boutique version at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It was more hands-on. It was more, pumped in, on top, just looking down on it like, yo, like cracking a whip, like, I need this, I need that, I need this. Whereas Def Jam, it was more like, we're going to give you all the kind of money, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
That was the difference in philosophies as far as Bad Boy and Def Jam was concerned.
Okay.
One of the other part of the question,
No, I was just wondering if the labels, and you pretty much touched on it, if they ever, kind of push you in a certain direction when, making the music, like, oh, try to do this, or you got to make this type of song, or anything like that.
The thing about that is, like, even though, he would suggest, that he would strongly suggest that we go in a certain direction, and more than likely we would already, we would go in that direction. But for the most part, they gave us pretty much, as long as it was not something with the mind, what we were singing, how we were singing, he gave us a lot of, creative control. But at the end of the day, it was him that said, all right, this is how you're going to use this or not. But, he did listen to us. He did really have respected our opinions as far as musicians. And, he kind of, like, let us do what we do. And, that's how they pretty much, whatever formula was over there, whatever's going to make us a hit, do it over here. So that's pretty much what happened.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And eventually, after the group, broke up, you were able to go on to release your solo album, Michael Keith. For those who haven't had a chance to hear the album, what did you try to do with that album, and what do you got on that album? Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, that album, man, to be honest with you, that album really was about a relationship that I had with a girl.
Okay.
All those songs are pretty much something that I've had did with this particular girl. Like No More Tears was me basically proposing to the girl. Long story short, we're not married, we're not engaged, so
yeah.
Just let you know, pretty much what happened with that. Mm-hmm. But all those songs were inspired by my ex-fiancée at the time. So
okay.
There was a lot of No More Tears was, me basically, the back and forth that she and I had, about me not committing to her and all that other stuff, me being this R&B dude and, doing the R&B thing. I didn't want her crying anymore, so basically that's where No More Tears came from. And, Love, which is one of my favorite records on the album. And basically, I wasn't really talking about anybody at that point. Singing that song was more so about the actual. I was having a conversation with the actual emotion of love.
Okay.
If you could personify love and make it a person, that's kind of like what I was doing.
Yeah.
With that song, which is more of a conversation with love, and Off Up in the Bedroom was pretty much, it was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Shawty Red was, it was teetering on hyperbole, man, but a lot of what happened in Shawty Red really did happen. It was really a conversation that I had with myself and this young lady.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what that whole album was about, man. So a lot of what happened on that album really did happen, and I needed a way to get it out of my system. So, I wrote about it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, anybody knowing me knows that I'm very private. Like, I'm a very private individual. I don't go out unless 112 has something that we got to do, or there's something that I just have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I'm a homebody. I stay in the house. I really don't do a whole lot of extracurricular outside things or whatever. So, and that goes for my personal, private life, all that stuff, man. So, for me to do that album, man, it was really challenging for me to do.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that I was letting a lot of people know what's going on, got my world, man, and for me to tell people that, I was writing about like situations, people go back and be like, well, man, you were really an asshole for this girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it was a whole lot of soul thinking that I had to do in order to, put this album together, man, but,
Yep.
I could either sit there and just let it be, or I could, let it out, see if it helps somebody else, because all my music I do is to have some kind of inspiration to, or I try to do. And I really want people to listen to the music and try to find themselves in it, and also be therapeutic to them as well. So if I can help them in some kind of off-subliminal kind of way, then, cool.
Yeah. Cool. I like that. But how was it taking the lead on an album? I mean, as part of a group, you had a different type of role, but now you were the main focus. And what was that like for you?
But I've always been a lead singer, so for me, it may have been a shock to to the world or to those that have the album, but for me it was just me waking up every day, like it wasn't really that big of a deal as far as the actual performance of it. What the burnout was, man, the reason why I broke down so much is because this was my debut album. This was my first shot at letting the world know what was going on with me as far as music was concerned. And I was so critical about these records, man, and I really, it almost got to the point that I almost derailed the whole album myself, man, because I really was so gung-ho about making sure that everything was right, man. I'm a perfectionist at heart, man, and I really, my people that was around me at the time really had to make me pull back from, everything that I was trying to derail, man, because I really did not want this album to come out, because I wasn't really confident in, myself as far as an overall solo artist. Now, I knew I could sing, but as far as, like, being a solo artist, man, so much stuff comes with that. It's like the limelight is directly towards you. There's, you can't hide, behind three other guys, and, if you overweight, they're going to talk about it. If you say the wrong thing, it's directly towards you. It's nobody else. So it's like all this stuff, man, that I was dealing with. So I really didn't want to, put an album out, man, because of it. Because I didn't want to let my 112 fans down as well, man. Still thinking about 112 at that point. Even doing a solo album, did not want the brand to go south because of something that I did.
Yeah.
So I was real critical about doing it, man. I was really, really, really had trepidation about doing it. But,
okay.
I manned up, get together.
Yeah. So, what eventually made you decide to, reconcile with the group and get back together to put together a new project?
Shot for the money. Well, I think that overall, man, I think I just ripped the boots, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, me knowing these cats, it'll be about 22 years that I've known these dudes, and I just miss them, man. I just really miss rocking out with those dudes, being on the stage, seeing if we can retain some of that whole feeling, and there's no other simpler explanation, bro. I just
Yeah.
it's just being around 112, man. It wasn't even so much of the pain. Like, I can do without the pain, bro. Let me just I say that. Like, I can do without the pain, shit, man. It's cool, but at the same time, man, it's like, it can be bothersome. But, those dudes are my older friends. Like, I'm like I said before, I'm very proud of really didn't have friends outside of 112. Matter of fact, I don't know why you saying that. I don't have any friends outside of, the 12. So, those were the dudes that, I hung out with. Those were the dudes that, they were secret about me and all my good, all my bad. They were the ones that were around me the most. It's time for me to realize, man, that, I get it. I did the solo project. I'm proud of what I did. I felt like I could have did better, but I was proud of it. I don't think I disrespected this 112 in any way. I don't think I disrespected the brand in any way or whatever. So, but it was just time for me to move on or return back to what I felt was natural to me. And being a part of 112 is natural to me.
Yeah.
The world knows that I'm able to do a solo album. They heard my voice now. those that got the album, they understand, who I am as far as a musician now. So, I'm content with it. I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep it going, man. And I think that was really one of the main circumstances why I retired, because I always wanted to. I just felt like had we left the way it was, it would have been a detriment to those who were one day ahead.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't leave on a positive note. We just left. It wasn't really, we sung our last song, and we did the choir song, and we did this, farewell tour, and everything like that. It was just like, I did it for every, in a sense. And I didn't want it to go down like that. I didn't want the world to look at us and say, well, you're done. It just disappeared.
Yeah.
So I've never wanted to go into something without finishing it. So that was one of the main reasons why I had to, really be deep in myself down the day.
Yeah.
I can't leave like this, man. So that was one of the main reasons why I recognized.
Okay. And is the group still together?
Here's my PC disclaimer. The group can always be my friend of the one.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we perform, whether or not we do albums together, that's up to the man upstairs to predict.
Okay.
I would like for it to happen. I am hopeful that it will eventually happen, but as of right now, we are all just everywhere at this point, man.
Yeah.
And one day we're a group, and we're performing the next minute, we're all solo. So I'm not really sure as far as the performing aspect of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
What's going on with everybody today. We'll say in my opinion, and in my heart, we're going to always be one there. There's always going to be my friend of the one. So that's the best answer I can give as far as this moment.
Yeah. Okay. And on a little bit of a lighter note, if you could just share with me, what would you say the craziest thing that a fan has ever done to you, maybe while you're performing and out in public, anything?
The craziest thing that I remember is, right offhand, is the fact that this girl in D.C. named her son Juwan, which was, she was in Juwan's name. And, we couldn't believe it, but he didn't think it was, and, his name was really Juwan. So that was the craziest thing with me, because, I love my artists and, the people that I love them to death, but I'm not going to name my kids after you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was just real crazy. That was just real crazy.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty freaky.
Yeah, man, that was deep. When she said it, I was like, wow, that's about as deep as it can go,
Yeah. Wow.
For you to name too. I could see if you named the child Duran, or, like when Barack, won the election and it was just a little baby named Barack all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If I could see that, or like name the Clinton, like after one of us, to put two of themselves all together and then, make one name out of it, and that was really crazy to me.
Yeah.
And he did it, and the child is walking around named Q1.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. Okay. Tell me, what was your favorite period of time, being in the group? Like, maybe it was the stretch of when you released one of your albums, or during the time when you were recording a certain album. Like, what was your favorite? Would you say you had the best time being with the group?
Recording the album. Because we always did the same that when we record an album, we would tour, and then we could all feel it. After we had toured the world,
Mm-hmm.
we would do our U.S. tour, and then we would go overseas. And by the time we retired back from the overseas tour, we would come back home and do some spot days here and there. But you could feel the momentum, and then we all just kind of looked at each other and was like, "It's time for a new album."
Yeah.
And that was pretty much my life. You could set my life on to a clock, bro. That's how automatic we were.
Yeah.
And how safe we were as far as what we knew or the kinship and the relationship that we had at that point, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was really creepy how you know, how close we were as far as knowing what everybody was thinking at the same time. And so I think the best time for me was definitely touring, getting on the tour bus, you know, going to different schools like colleges and, you know, partying with the, you know, especially the girls, partying with some girls and get some clubs late at night, man, and, you know, drinking and, you know, just being with your homeboys, man, just chilling, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was really a fun time for me, man. But I think the most memorable time and the most, you know, the time that I enjoyed the most was the actual recording process, because we fought, we argued, we laughed, we was really bonding at that point, man, and we put together a great album at that point. Like when we was on our cylinders, we put a great album together.
Yeah.
And that was like a real fun time for me.
Yeah. Cool. Looking at the recording process another way, though, as an artist, what would you say was the most difficult part of putting an album together and recording?
As we got older and our music taste started to evolve, I think that was a more difficult time for us as far as trying to put an album together, because we had 4 different opinions. Whereas back in the day, it pretty much was like, okay, if one dude felt that way, then we all felt that way. But as we got older and as our taste developed into, you know, different things, we wanted to implement those different things into, you know, the 112 sound. The problem with that is I like rock and roll music. Slim was in the, you know, really hardcore hip hop. Q was listening to gospel, and who knows what the wrong was like. So it was kind of hard for us to put all those different flavors into, you know, this one pot and make it be something that everybody could enjoy. So I think that was the most difficult time, trying to make sure that we weren't stepping on nobody else's toes, that we made sure that we respected everybody else's opinion about all the music, and made sure that we didn't put our own agenda ahead of the overall 112 machine. So that was the more, like around that 4th album, around that, the 4th and the 5th album is where things started getting a little, you know, weird.
Okay. Makes sense. If you could share with a memory, maybe your best memory of working with Notorious B.I.G. or just being around him at all, just if you have one that stands out.
Just being around him, man. Just being around this dude, man, because, you know, a lot of people didn't realize just how silly this dude was, man. You know, the people, if you wasn't around, you didn't really see just, you know, how humorous he was and how jovial, you know, this guy really was, and how much he cared for his people. The people that, you know, that was around him, like, they looked at this dude like he was really the king of New York. You know what I mean? And being just that dude, you know, he was very gregarious. You know, he could just make people just come around him, man, and just want to be a part of, you know, whatever it is that he was selling. You know, they just wanted to be a part of it. And, you know, it was serious. It wasn't a game. It wasn't anything that nobody concocted, no kind of image or gimmick. You know, it was real life. This dude was just that serious when it came time to, you know, be B.I.G., you know, and we just had to be around that dude, man. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you know, we wasn't really anybody. At that point, you know, we were trying to get to a point where people could recognize us, and for him, you know, to be like, I like this dude, to my niggas right there, and da-da-da-da. You know, it was just real cool, so, you know, because at that point, you know, this dude, you know, he was flavoring your ear, he was, you know, juicy, he was, you know, he was big, you know, and for him to be like, you know, I'm going through 112 with my dudes, and, you know, it just really made us feel good about that, man. You know, we definitely appreciated the fact that, you know, Homeboy did what he did. Like, if he didn't have to, you know, he could have easily been big, and y'all go be look for R&B dudes over there, and I'll go be big, you know what I mean? But he definitely, he pushed for us to sing on a lot of songs, man, that, you know, that nobody else would. So, yeah, forever be grateful for that, man. But just him, period, man. That's who he was. Yeah,
cool. And, you know, just curious, but during the whole East Coast, West Coast, you know, beef and that type of thing, you know, how did you and how did the group feel during that time? And did the public ever perceive you, you know, the group in a certain way? Like, were you grouped in any way? Like, how did that all go down?
Yeah, man, they hated our fucking guns, man.
Yeah.
You know, they hated them too. They was like, you know, we don't care that y'all sing R&B, or we don't care that y'all, you know, from that matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, y'all side it with me, so, you know, we hate y'all too.
Yeah.
You know, and we had many, you know, we had many a situation as well, man. You know, we had many a time we felt like we were going to have to fight our way out of something in order to, you know, in order to get out of the city. But, you know, thank God, man, that nothing got really so gangster that, you know, somebody's life was in danger. Like, you know, of course, there were times when we was out, because we were actually still performing out in L.A. when all that was going down, because 12 had developed such a fan base out in L.A. You'd be crazy trying to promote an album not going out there. So, you know, everybody at Bad Boy was like, y'all make sure y'all be careful and don't go out and don't be bringing them little girls back to the hotel. And, you know, really, you know, making sure that, you know, we understood that it was real out there, man. But, you know, we was like, man, look, we good. You know, we know some people out there, you know, we good. You know, don't worry about us. You know, we got a fan base and all this other stuff. Don't worry about us. Like, because at the time, a lot of the Bad Boy artists just spent a lot of time out in L.A. 12 was like one of the few groups or the few artists that actually did coming from Bad Boy. So, you know, we felt like we was good. Okay, yeah, they were hating, you know, in certain areas and stuff like that, but at the same time, you know, we weren't going in those areas. You know what I mean? So we were good. So, but it got crazy, man. It really got crazy. For me, I would be lying if I said that there weren't times where we felt like we had to, you know, take our R&B, our little R&B, smooth R&B image and just throw that to the side and show everybody what it being from Atlanta really about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we had to, you know, it was many times, man, things got out of hand, but, you know, like I said, thank God we came from it, you know, without really an issue in that sense.
Yeah. Okay.
But they ain't got gangster, bro. Like, trust me.
Wow.
They didn't care anything about us being R&B. They didn't care about us being from Atlanta. Y'all was trying to Bad Boy. Y'all was supposed to get it number one. So that's how it was back in the day. And that was, you know, we didn't shy away from that. You know, we represented our reputation to the fullest. And, you know, those was our people. Those was our folks, man. And, you know, we was good.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Plus, you know, one of our managers was a Chris anyway, so we was good.
Wow, man. Crazy. I gotta ask you about a song. My favorite song you did with B.I.G. and one of my favorite songs overall too. The song "Miss You" off his second album, man. Just give me some background about that song if you could.
Which one?
The song "Miss You."
Oh, Miss You, yeah. When we did that record, man, it was actually when we did that record. I think Big had passed, bro.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we had passed at that point, man. But when we did that record, it was between that and that old Teddy Pendergrass Missing You version.
Yeah.
We just decided to go with the one that was more hip hop oriented, and we just wanted to, you know, put that on this record and stuff, man. But you know, it was really like I said before, Big was a real big fan of our voices. He was a real big fan of 112's performance. And he just wanted us on the record, man. If you listen to that Life After Death, you swear that we was in the studio with him, you know, all the time, because it's like, dude shouted him out so many times, man. You know, on that record, it was like, damn, man, dude was really be feeling us, right? You know what I mean? So, you know, dude, he was a real good friend of us, man. And, you know, I just hate that the world missed out on his evolution because of the fact that he had, you know, that had all the good looks second out, you know what I mean? So, you know, we're going to this day, we're going back and forth saying who's the greatest rapper that ever lived, you know, between him and Pop, you know, now, so he's in the mix now, Eminem is in the mix now, you know, but back then it was like you need to use Pop, you know, it was only 1-8, and it's like, you know, no good, you know, saying the Pop was forever, but that was Big's second album, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like to put out a gang of material.
Yeah.
So for us to you know, be debating on how great this man was a testament to how, you know, how great his gift was that God gave him. So, you know, we was happy to be a part of it. You know, that same man was like, you know, I need y'all to say that this, and, you know, everybody that Puff wanted us to do with Paul Big was concerned we got with it, you know. That wasn't even an issue.
Yeah. Cool. And, you know, the last question I got for you is, you know, what's up next for Mike Keith?
I am in the process of, like, I'm really trying to figure out, man, if I want to do another solo album, man, and how I'm going to go about doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I practically did the first album without any budget, without any main producers, non-producers, and I had to write all that stuff myself. You know, I'm not in a relationship anymore, so I'm trying to figure out how the hell I'm going to have material.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do as far as that's concerned. I would like to do another 112 album. I don't know if that's in the cards right now. I'm hopeful, but at the same time, I just don't know.
Yeah.
But as of right now, what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of vocal coaching for people that are in Atlanta who want to develop their talents. And it amazes me the level of skill that is lacking with these younger people that are coming up nowadays.
Yeah.
Like you look to these kids and you tell them the crescendo, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? You know what I mean? So, that just shows that, not that they're ignorant to it, it's just, they just don't, I guess it does mean that they're ignorant. But it's such a negative word, I don't like using it, but, that's basically what it boils down to, man. A lot of these kids who just don't have any knowledge as far as where the music comes from and the basic skills that you need in order to have a long, progressive career,
mm-hmm.
in the music industry, man. So I felt like it was my duty to educate these kids and educate whoever else want to learn as well. And, what you need to know, the basic vocal coaching 101. So, and the email that I gave you, $1 Million Boys Inc., just to shout that out as well. If anybody that's listening to these, interview or sees the interview, if they, would like to do vocal lessons and they live in Atlanta, but we're starting in Atlanta right now, because, we're starting off small, so if anybody in the Atlanta area that wants to check out their email address, send me an email, and, and I'll, go get back at you like that. And, of course, check me out on Twitter and Facebook, Michael Keith, and, I can show you how to kick that, man. Like I don't ever give credit. I never dig myself up, as far as this, but, this is what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And, as far as out of all the 4 members in 112, vocally, a lot of people say, like, I'm the dopest. So,
yeah.
I thank, everybody for that, but it's not because I'm, just naturally gifted like that. It's because I do the things that is necessary to maintain that level of excellence with your voice. And I do the vocal coaching. I love the vocal coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a natural teacher.
Yeah.
And I love, teaching and just showing people, the evolution. And I'm always learning stuff. I'm always reading stuff. And I just love sharing that type of information, man. So, I'm willing to do that. So the vocal coaching thing is definitely, something that I'm doing right now.
Oh, cool. Cool.
So,
yeah. And if I could just step back as a fan for a second and say, man, I really hope you find some way, if not with the group, for a second solo album, just get back in that studio, do music again, man, because, man, it's just not the same. I love R&B, but it's just not the same to me. We need people like you, doing it. So, I mean, I just hope you can find a way back,
I'm looking at God willing now. I'm a firm believer in things being destined, and God already having a plan for us. So I'm just riding this wave, and she's already taking me. I know that I can do many things, but I was born to be a musician. Mm-hmm. So I know whatever plan that he has for me, he has something to do with that. So, I'm just sitting back waiting and see what the move is, man. But like you're right, it's a lack of good music out there right now, man. And I hope that, God willing, that he sees in his good graces that, he allows, me to do another solo album, I swear to do another album, and we just keep music just going, man, and just keep on, man. It's just people and just, the aficionados of music, man.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I just gotta say, thank you so much for taking the time to this interview. You provided some amazing insight, and it's just been really great talking to you. I really appreciate it.
Listen, man, this has been my pleasure. I enjoyed it. I'm glad that, and really appreciate the fact that, young people are taking out the time to listen to me, old bastard like me, man. But, I really do appreciate it, man. And, you did more for me than, I could ever do it for you tonight, man. I really want you to know that.
No problem, man. Anytime. So, you know, best of luck to you, and hopefully I'll keep in touch and keep up with what you're working on, and I'll do anything I can to help, you know, promote your projects and all that. So don't even worry about it.
All right, man. I just want to say that over too, man. So, you know, we can work in the time, bro.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
All right. Peace.